Greetings, YouTube. If you can afford it, you can buy a car. But if you want to drive that car, things get a little more complicated. You're going to have a driver's license, which means you have to meet certain age limits, and you have to have certain criteria as far as accessibility and a capability to actually drive the car. So you may have to have the car modified if you have physical limitations. If you're blind, you're not going to be able to drive your car, even though you technically could own one. You're going to have to make sure the car is registered, inspected, so it's safe for the road. And you're going to have to follow all the laws of the road, the rules of the road, as they say. And if you break them, you will be fined. And if you get enough infractions against you, you're very likely to lose your license, and then you have yourself a car you can't drive again. That's just the way it is. That's how we function. This makes sure that the vehicle you're driving is safe. Hopefully, you're trained. And many places also require you to have car insurance. I think everywhere should require you to have car insurance. I don't like the idea that there are people who are driving around out there without car insurance, because if they hit me while my car insurance is going to take care of it, that harms those of us who have car insurance. Because the people that don't have the car insurance are coming off of our funds. If we all contribute to the car insurance pool, however, we all benefit from it. And that's how car insurance works. It's how insurance works. It's a pool. We pool our resources. It's almost like taxes. We pool our resources, then we do things with them. I don't know. It's just the way it works. Now, if you own property, so long as you can afford the property, you're good to go. If you want to open a business on that property, however, things get a little more complicated. You have to have a business license. You have to make sure that the business the building you're going to have the business in, meets safety codes. If it's a food industry, it has to pass health codes. Well, there are also health codes for things like pets and things like that. There are health codes that have to be met by and large for many industries, because many industries, even if they don't involve food or pets or things like that, organisms that are a part of the business itself, there are still safety rules for cleaning chemicals, and environmental impact policies have to be followed. All of these things have to be done. You will probably be required to have some kind of insurance if you're going to, keep your business from being destroyed in a fire, things like that. There are requirements you're going to have to own a business. And some of those requirements are you're going to have to follow the rules and the laws of the society you live in. And in America, if you violate some of them, you will receive fines by the government. If you violate others, people will sue you civilly. And some of the things you can't do if you own a public business, and a public business is a business open to the public, where you are engaging in commerce with people who are coming onto your admittedly private property for the purposes of capitalism. And if you own that business, you can't discriminate against classes of people. Now, this drives libertarians insane. They think that this is a horrible concept. That if it's your private property, and this is where they get all hyped up about, this is where they get stuck. They hear private property and they stop thinking. They hear private property and the argument is over for them. All right? But it isn't over. Because when you open a public business, it is a business open to the public. All of the public. For example, if your business does not have accessibility to those in wheelchairs, people in wheelchairs can sue you for violating the Americans with Disability Act. And you are very likely to lose. And you have the option of fixing that problem or being fined. And if you get enough fines against you, your business may go out of existence. That's just the way it is. Because we have decided that if you are in a wheelchair, you have just as much right to go into a store as if you are on two legs. That's just the way it works. You don't get to discriminate against classes of people. You can't put up signs that say whites only. You will be sued. All right? And if you tell people, I'm not going to serve plaid people, you will be sued and you will lose. Because we, as a society, have decided that we are not going to allow institutionalized racism. Okay, we're going to limit institutionalized racism because institutionalized racism is all over the place. But we're getting better at hunting it down. We're getting better at eliminating it. And part of that process is making sure that public businesses open to the public, abide by anti-discrimination laws. Now, in some places, there aren't classes of people for the LGBT community. That's changing. Sex, gender identity, and sexual orientation are being protected in more and more places, as they should be. Because everyone should be able to engage in a public business. Everyone should be able to walk off the street and say, hey, I would like to hire you to do this. Or I would like to purchase that. And have the person there say, okay, I can do that, if it's what their business does. That it should be about the commerce. The only color that we should be involved in commerce, folks, is green. And the only discrimination should be allowed should be zero. Now, it is true, you could bar an individual from your property. And some people say, haha, that's the loophole. I'll bar that black person, and then I'll bar the next black person. But you see, people communicate kind of like you and I are now. And if it shows up that you have a history of barring black people from your property, well, you're going to get sued. Because you've not been barring individuals, you've been barring a class of people just pretending it's individuals because you're looking for a loophole. You're trying to find a way around anti-discrimination laws. And I've seen this argument used. So now I ask you, why would someone want to get around anti-discrimination laws? Because maybe they want to discriminate? Because maybe they have certain classes of people they don't like? I've had someone here argue on my channel that if a man walked into their place of business dressed in a traditionally female clothing, they would kick them out. That would be discrimination. Clothing's clothing. There are certain requirements in a business that serves food. Shirts and shoes required is normally the criteria. As long as they're wearing something on the top and something on their feet, everything else they wear is optional. The type of clothing they have on doesn't matter. Whether they're wearing a skirt or pants or shorts or a sari, a muumuu, a bathrobe, doesn't matter. So long as they're abiding by that health code. What sex they are, what gender they are, what their expression is, what their sexual orientation is, does not matter. It plays no part in their ability to engage in commerce. Now, I'm adamantly opposed to free market capitalism. I think it's the worst possible concept that humanity has ever come up with, ranking up there with organized religion. Of course, we don't have that here. We have crony capitalism in America. But if you have a business and it's open to the public, you darn well better serve everyone. And if you don't, you will be sued and you will lose. And then you will wind the conservative media, saying how unfair it is, how your rights are being trampled upon. You do not have the right to discriminate against classes of people. You can talk about it. You can lament it. You can say discriminatory things. Those are all protected. I'll defend your right to say those things with my life. But I'll say that you're being a bigot. But if you try to discriminate against classes of people through your business, well, that's not going to work out well for you now, is it? So I guess I'm going to have to refer to this video on a regular basis because I constantly hear people telling me they have no idea what a public business is because they're willfully ignorant, because they're pretending that they don't know, because they like the idea of a business being able to discriminate against classes of people because they themselves wish they could discriminate against classes of people. Well, here is my statement of my solidarity with the flat people of the world. Anti-discrimination laws exist for a reason, and public businesses need to be open to everyone.